let's get started properly. So my name's Jess, aka Queen of Degens, and I'm happy to have Fowler from the LandLord project here with me tonight for their AMA. So I think we'll start off. You got the memo about my first icebreaker question, right?
Oh no, I don't think I did, but we're sorry, no. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Go on.
Okay. Well, I always like to start off by asking our guests to tell us a joke because we're all Degens here, so we want to.
Okay.
But before you do that, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit, whatever.
Yeah, so if I start, I'll introduce myself and I'll talk a bit about the rest of the team. That's probably a good place to start. So I'm Fowler. I am the lead dev and co-founder of the LandLord. Amongst our team, we've got 7 other members, core team members. They all come from sort of different backgrounds and occupations. So me personally, I've worked in software delivery for various software companies, including sort of FTSE 100 companies, delivering multi-million pound projects to all sorts of types of businesses. So I work in software delivery day to day. So I treat our project in the same way I would everything else I do at work, basically. This is our first crypto project. But just to sort of run through some of the rest of the team, we've got Adrian, who's our graphic designer. So he does all sort of like in-house graphics and our NFTs and loads of other stuff like that. Which is brilliant. We've got Jimmy, who's works in the banking industry and is our CFO. So he handles all the sort of money side of things. We've got Fab, who's the other co-founder. So it's me and him's brainchild. And he's a successful businessman. He owns several ice cream shops and an ice cream factory. So he's got a good grasp on the business side of it and logistics. Then we've got Harry, who's grown up living, working and being associated with pubs and actually owns his own one, which is, so he's our sort of pub subject matter expert and also where we will trial our point of sale system to begin with. We've also got Alessandro, who's our community manager, who works in software and IT stuff, and he's sort of like I can't remember what his job title is, but he's like a support and relationship manager. And then we've got Alan, who's our logistics manager. So he for a living works in logistics and stuff. So we've got a team of sort of professionals from outside of the crypto world, but that's partly because a big chunk of our project is bringing physical utility and into crypto and sort of mixing the two. So we're not just a bunch of bedroom developers that are sort of trying to make a quick buck, basically.
And that's one of the things that made me really keen to get you into our lounge and because I mean, it's quite a rare thing to find a project in DeFi that has like not only utility but real world utility.
Yeah.
So, for one, I'm really, really interested in that.
So, sorry for anyone that's been on any of our AMAs before, but the story I normally sort of tell is how we came up with the idea and where the project began. So we've all been sort of crypto investors for several years now. And really the whole LandLord idea came together when during the sort of peak, probably would have been about April last year, when SafeMoon was going mental and it's sort of at all-time high. I know lots of people have lost money since then, but I was one of the very lucky few that sold it actually did quite well out of it. But we were sat in the pub. We were sat in a pub one night, and literally, I think it was like the weekend before payday, and we were joking about who's going to buy the next round, and we're like, "Oh, I'd get it if I could pay in SafeMoon." And then we were like, "Actually, why can't we just? Why couldn't we pay in crypto?"
Right.
And that's where the sort of idea began, and it sort of we sort of chipped away at it and thought about it a bit more, and we're like, actually, there's lots of problems in pubs, and they're closing down, and there's there's a big gripe between pub owners and having to pay the card fees and stuff for Visa and bank and debit cards. So we're like, if we can find a way of doing an alternative to that, with people being able to pay in crypto, and if we did our own token, we could actually make drinks cheaper if they're paying in our token, because we can take the profits and put them back in the token, and then the token price will go up, and then people can buy drinks cheaper, and it sort of goes round in a loop, and it sort of feeds itself. And then we're sort of like, oh, what else can we add into it? Which is where the craft beers and the merch store and the NFTs and all that come sort of into play. So it all sort of meshes together, and hopefully the plan would be that it sort of fuels itself. So even if the crypto market's not doing great, if the pub's doing all right, we've got revenue we can put back into the token and stabilise the price and do buybacks and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was sort of, that was sort of the initial plan and idea and concept.
That sounds good. Coming back to our icebreaker.
Yeah.
Have you thought of a joke for us?
I'm trying to think. I've got a few, but they're all really rude. I'm trying to think of one that's not rude.
Right, that's good. Ruder the better. You should hear mine. But DeFi won't let me tell them because they're that bad.
No. I don't know. I did have to throw the Hoover away this morning though, because it's just sitting there collecting dust. That's the best one I could come up with.
Yeah. That's a dad joke. Are you
a dad joke? Yeah, I've got 3 kids.
Oh bless.
I'll try and come up with a better one before the end.
All right. How old are your babbies?
10, 8, and 2. So full range.
God, you've got your hands full.
Yeah. That's why I've got this. I've got a big shed, which is what I'm in at now. It's at the end of that, at the other end of the garden. So yeah, I've got my own hideaway. And
the kids are locked out in the house.
Yeah, they're away in the house for the night.
Cool. Okay, so your project, in a nutshell, is about giving degens a way to go down the pub and pay for their drink, pay for their night out.
Yeah. So the plan is, So what we want to be able to do is, there's sort of several prongs to it. So the initial bit is we want to bring out our own beers that we can sell for crypto, and then moving on to developing or continue developing our point of sale system that we can sell or lease or rent out to sort of other pub chains that exist already. We wouldn't go for large pub chains. We'd go for sort of independents or small chains where we have a set list of tokens or coins that we accept, and then we would charge listing fees to other tokens to come on board as well. So if you've got a new token comes out and it's like going mental and everyone's jumping on it, they could pay us a small listing fee and we'd get them on to the point of sale system so people could then pay with them. So that's sort of where we're looking at with that. But the long-term goal is we want to open up our own crypto pubs that are very technology-driven. So we're quite keen on things like some of the self-pour stuff you can have built into the tables if you've seen those. And being able to like pay for your tab in advance with crypto, or book a table paying with crypto, or then generally just pay your bill at the end or when you go to the bar, and just like, just simple as anything.
Sounds amazing.
There will be certain limitations at the minute because like certain projects or tokens we'd like to get on board, it just won't work with it. Like you couldn't really pay for a pint with ETH because your gas fees would be like 5 times the price of a pint, wouldn't it? So obviously things like that wouldn't work at the minute. You could pre-book a table or a tab for a night using ETH. That would make more sense. But so you've got to be sensible. But gas fees and stuff are changing. If ETH2 eventually happens, I say that.
You mean when Vitalik finally wakes up from his
but
everybody else has beat him to market.
Yeah, but you never know. But that's sort of our plan, because we, micro pubs and theme pubs are actually and independent pubs are actually doing all right post-COVID. A lot of them. because people have got bored of just going to their old local. They want something else out of it. So we've got our pubs. We want them technology driven. We want screens around with all the charts up and stuff like that. And yeah, that's sort of. I don't know if there's a pub or bar in America that's based like it's near where the stock market is, and they've got all like the stock charts and stuff, and it's all themed around that. So that's the sort of style we want, but crypto.
Sounds amazing. And that's, I mean, like, when I first looked at your project, perhaps, I was being a bit, not looking at that much, but it looked like a smaller kind of degen play. But what you're talking about here seems to have quite big scope, quite big vision with it.
Yeah, that's why, we've done things like we've locked the LP for 5 years and we haven't earned a single penny out of it, and we've been going, 5 months now from inception, and we've not taken any money out of the project. Everything.
What chain are you
on? So we're on BSC.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just because at the time it was the simplest one to get on. It made sense for what we were looking at that time. We might look at bridges and stuff later down the line, although I'm terrified of bridges, because if you look at every big hack that's happened in the last year or so, they've all become via bridges. So that makes me nervous, but I'm not ruling that out.
Yeah, it makes us all nervous, but touch wood, if I can find a bit of wood. I've got a kitten here, that's a touch kitten. We haven't seen one for a little while, so maybe the technology is starting to get a bit... Yeah,
maybe it's improving.
I mean, like I say, we're on the bleeding edge right now in DeFi.
Yeah.
And we are quite literally building the financial structures of tomorrow, today.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're all the guinea pigs, right?
Yeah.
Blessing and a curse. A lot of money to be made, but also a lot of money to be lost as well when it all goes wrong. So I'm interested in your liquidity lock. How much liquidity have you locked for 5 years?
So the entirety of the liquidity we have is locked. So we haven't got any other liquidity in there that's...
and how many beans have you got in there? How much BNB have you got in there?
I think at the minute it's 93 BNB. And we've got some more to add in June. So we launched in February. So there's a long story behind the whole launch. We launched in February via a launch pad from another token that we were sort of friendly with. We had an endless amount of nightmares with their launch pad, and when we launched, they dropped to 0 on the tokens that were distributed and on the LP, and fuck the price up. So only way to sort of save the day, I had to do a massive burn like straight away and burn like 97% of our supply, which basically just looked shit. But it meant that we didn't lose everyone's money. So everyone stuck with us, and the project did all right. We set everyone. I think we were about 300% up. And then we made the decision just before we got listed on CoinGecko to migrate to a new contract and new supplier, so we could sort of start afresh without that horrible burn. Because I know what it's like. I've looked at other tokens, and if there's a huge burn, it puts me off, because you think they're trying to hide hide something, or make it more difficult to see how much people are holding and stuff like that. Yeah. So we sort of put it up to vote with the community, sort of told them the plan, gave very in-depth bits of information and FAQs and spreadsheets showing how many tokens they'd get when we migrated and everything else. And we migrated, I'm trying to think when it was, not last week, the week before, and then we relaunched on the Sunday. And the prices stayed pretty stable. We had a little bit of a drop off and then stormed back up again. But the current market, that's sort of expected. But we're in a better place now. We've got a better contract that we've had audited as well. So that's come back, and the contract's audited and no issues with that. which is all on the website, so you can check that.
Who were your auditors?
Desert Finance, or Desert Finance, not Desert. I always say Desert. It's Desert Finance. They were recommended to us by a few sort of other communities that we've done AMAs in as a good sort of entry level audit, because obviously there's no point spending thousands on a Certic one when you're like relaunching a month old with. It would have costed about the same amount as our liquidity at the time. So it was sort of, what's the point?
Projects that I was with last year, we used PEC Shield, and it cost us. I mean, there was a lot of contracts. There was 11 contracts.
Yeah.
It cost best part of $50K dollars.
Yeah. So we've actually got in our roadmap to have a sort of a more in-depth audit later on, along with when we hit sort of enough volume and stuff to actually make it beneficial, because that's money we could be spending on marketing and buybacks and stuff like that. But part of the migration we did was to a new contract, so our tokenomics changed. So originally on our version 1 we had a 6% tax with 3% going in marketing, 2% in liquidity, and 1% in native token reflections. But with agreement from the community, we've changed that now. So we now have an 8% tax, which is still not huge, still fairly low. With 3% marketing, 3% liquidity, and then the last 2 is now BUSD reflections instead. Okay. Because we thought in the current market, people getting reflections in native tokens isn't really much of a seller if they're not really worth anything.
And it puts more sell pressure on your tokens.
Yeah. So by going with reflections in more of a stable token, such as BSUD, that is more of a selling point, and also encourages people to buy more as well, which helps make the chart look a bit better as well. So that was sort of the key change, really.
So that's 2% reflections on each transaction. Did you say?
So yeah, it's on every transaction, but the sort of the way it does it in sort of batches, because we don't want to smash the amount of gas and tokens that we're liquidating each time. So it does it in. So I was trying to explain it to someone the other day, and sort of the best way I can sort of explain it is you'll have a cycle. And in that cycle will be all the wallets that qualify for reflections. So if you have over 1 million tokens or more than $50, you qualify for BUSD reflections.
That's not that high level for entry for the reflections.
No, we sort of a fair amount. We don't want to sort of restrict too many people, because you've got to appeal to the whales, but also the people that might just stick 50 quid or $50 in that and see what happens. You've got to sort of want to have that appeal as well. Then, so that's sort of where we went down that route. But yeah, it works in cycles. So you have all the wallets that qualify in a cycle, and then after each transaction of a buy or a sell, it then initiates sending the BUSD out to people. So it normally does it in, depending what gas levels and stuff is, it normally does it between 5 and 9 wallets after each transaction. So it might take longer if there's not many transactions, but if it's busy, you'll get your reflections quicker, and then it'll move on to the second cycle. And does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's all handled in the contract.
Yeah, so it's got 2 contracts. We've got the main contract, and then we've got a dividend contract. So the BSD sits in that, and then it sort of distributes it back out again.
Right. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
So it's the best way to do it, because if you do it in big, large chunks, all you end up seeing is massive red splotches all over your chart where it drops funds quite often. So to do it small and often off the back of each transaction just seems a more logical way of doing it.
Yeah, it spreads it out, and it's less stressful on the chart, isn't it? So I want to know a bit more about your plans for your pubs. So what are you thinking with payments? How is that going to work? Are you going to give your landlords a wallets, and then people will like pay into those wallets, or what? I mean, what's
So the way the point of sale system will work is there'll be, because I think probably when we first launch it, we'll probably only accept probably 10 or 12 tokens to begin with, and then we'll expand that based on sort of votes and what people want and what sort of popular in the market at the time.
and then blue chips to start with?
Possibly. It's got to be what's popular, what's fairly stable within reason, and isn't going to be ridiculous in gas. So if that makes sense, because anything that's too volatile, which the whole market is, but you know what I mean, might not be very good to handle if
you're thinking along the lines of stables, BUSD, USDT,
possibly.
Not Terra USD, right?
No, bloody Terra or Luna, bloody no. We'd probably be looking at sort of some stables and whatever sort of in the top 10 volume or popularity at that time, or ones that are the community or people are fond of or popular at the time. And the real drive is to try and get people to use our own token, because then they're buying it to use it in the pub and recirculating back round. So that's sort of the key driver with it, really. And
are you going to do anything to motivate people to use your tokens rather than using, say, BUSD?
So basically, with the point of sale system and the app that you could be ordering through and stuff like that, all the drink prices will be shown in pounds and dollars, and then you'll have like a filter to pick whatever token you want to use, and that'll show you how much it is in that. If you pay with our token, there'll be a discount applied. So our token would always be the cheaper option to buy the drinks with. The other thing that comes into play with that is we'll be releasing additional. So we've done one small NFT collection, which didn't have any utility to it. But going forward, our next one will have utility. So you'll be able to buy NFTs that either sort of blind bag NFTs, a bit like like the kids' toys and stuff that they don't know really what they're going to get, and that will come with a set discount for drinks and a set amount of uses for it. So you might get one that gives you 5% discount for 10 different orders, or it might give you 5% discount for 50 different orders, or it might give you buy one get one free on a particular type of drink. But we're going to lock them into the NFT.
Literally be randomised and pot luck as to what you get in your bag.
Yeah. We've also done, so some of our competitions and giveaways are based around, we have gold, silver and bronze NFTs. So the gold one, I think we've only given one, maybe two away so far. And they will give you an all expenses trip to LandLord Pub when it opens. So all your drinks will be paid for, you'll get the VIP treatment and stuff like that. And we plan to have competitions and giveaways involving those as well.
Wow. So people can have a gold NFT, for example.
Yeah, you think like your gold, your black Nando's card or whatever it is, and things like that. That's the sort of the idea we're going with those.
And then they can literally go and drink to blackout.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, sounds lethal. Personally, I'm 16 years sober, but like I'd still be interested in having a go, just like experience buying cokes with crypto. I mean, quite fun. But like back in the day, trust me, I would be your worst person to have gold NFTs.
But I think we probably will do some kind of food in the pubs as well. When we've talked about food in them, the plan was to not do many things, but do a few things really well and make it easy and accessible. So there will be food as well.
Makes sense.
One of the other sort of key things that we've got in our sort of roadmap, alongside of all the other sort of technical bits and utility based things, is we want to have a big burn event every year. So And when we say that, I find it really like boring and discouraging when like Binance announced like we've just burnt a million tokens, and it's like brilliant. You've just tweeted that. It's like who cares? So what our plan with Burns is we're only going to burn tokens once a year on a set date, and we're going to do it as a live event that will be streamed, and it will have live music and DJs and bands, and we want to have like a big bonfire and we're going to have physical cardboard or paper tokens made and hand them out to people to physically burn.
So that sounds like a good, like 5th of November kind of thing. Go for it. Yes. That's
sort of the sort of vibe we're going with. So but it will be streamed. We'll try and get celebrities and bands and DJs. Once we've got the pubs open, it will happen across all the pubs. To make it sort of an event for the holders to celebrate that they're holding the tokens, and but also as a big marketing event, because that sort of thing might get additional coverage from mainstream and stuff like that. Which is a key thing we want to do, is bring crypto to sort of every man and woman and make it more mainstream. Because at the end of the day, we're still very in the infancy of crypto take up, really.
We're nowhere near prime time yet.
No, nowhere near. So that's where we think, if you start normalising crypto in everyday, regular situations, like going down the pub, or, we've even talked about the point of sale system. Once we've got that out in pubs, we can start looking into restaurants or cafes and anywhere else where it's similar sort of, bakeries, anywhere where people will be purchasing stuff like that. We could move into there as well eventually.
And how are you going to get around the thing? Because like most people nowadays are used to either paying with contactless cards or tapping their phone on the terminal. So how are you going to cross that bridge? Because that's quite convenient. I mean,
so one of the sort of the simple answer to that really is QR codes. So when you make an order or go to pay for an order, you'll have almost like one of those touchscreen screens in front of you. Once your drinks get put through and your bill gets worked out, and you've told them or selected what payment method. So if you're paying in B&B, for instance, it will generate the relevant barcode or the QR code for that with the amount, and you'll literally just scan the QR code and hit the button. It's just as easy as doing contactless, really.
Yeah. And how far along the road are you with the development of technology to drive that?
So development has started on it. So we're still in the infancy. We haven't got really a UI for it at the minute. It's all sort of the back end side of it, and also we're still fairly in the infancy of what we're doing. So there's no point of us spending thousands and thousands and thousands on development at this point until we've got enough holders to support continuing the project and moving into that phase of the project as such. If that makes sense.
How many holders?
One thing we have got. I think we're on 255, so it's still very early. We are on CoinGecko now, but we're doing a big drive at the minute on marketing, hence AMAs. I think this is my 4th AMA this week. We're really trying to sort of get in front and speak to as many people as we can.
Fair play to you. I did that with a project I was with last year. I think it was about 2 months. Me and my colleague were doing AMAs like literally every day, sometimes 2 times a day. It gets draining after a while.
It is. But I quite like talking to people about the project because we're passionate about it. This is what all of us in our team want to do full time. And that's where we want to get to. So we can only do that if we put the work in.
Sure.
And there's the one benefit we have got as well is obviously I've worked in and around software development for quite a few years. So we do have sort of when we want to start ramping up the development, I've got friends that we can sort of onboard very quickly that are itching at the bit to get involved and start doing some more development on it, because at the end of the day, it's not a job for just one man. So we've got some other people ready to sort of come on board and ramp up our development side of things once we're in a position to do that.
Yeah.
We're quite open and honest about that. Go on, sorry.
You were telling us about your team. So, I mean, like, it's a fair-sized team you got there. It sounds like you got quite a few skilled people in the mix.
Yeah, so we wanted to get real-world sort of experience in all the different parts of it. So, although we've got quite a large team, some of that team's involvement will sort of ramp up and ramp down depending which phase we're in. So when we're, our next sort of key thing to start getting out after increasing our holders and CMC and things like that is we've got our LandLord app coming out, which is be the first version of that, which basically let you check your balance, see your reflections and that sort of stuff, and order from our store and sort of basic general, just getting people on board and looking at the app, but before we flesh it out for more features and stuff, which will get voted on by the community. And then sort of the next thing after that will be our craft beers. So that's where Fab and Harry will come in and get a bit more on board, because their knowledge of sort of business and successful businesses and supply, and Harry's pub and beer expertise will come quite heavily into play at that point, where then when we move into the point of sale bit, a lot more of that's going to be around sort of the development side of it. So we'll be ramping that up, and they'll probably take a bit of a back seat for a bit until we move into getting the pubs, moving into opening the pubs, if that makes sense. So we've got a fairly large team, but we've got certain aspects of the project we're sort of associated to. So yeah, we're not all sort of gunning at it non-stop. We sort of take it in turns to do the bits that we need to do.
That makes perfect sense, and you're very much at the incubation bootstrapping phase of your business. So we've been sort of, a lot of projects on their roadmaps will put hard dates in for everything and just never meet them. We've tried to be sort of open and honest that as though we can work towards dates, we're seeing the project more in phases, because a lot of stuff can't be done until we've got the right amount of holders or support or volume and things like that. So really a lot of events are going to be triggered by the amount of holders or volume, because there's a lot of things although we can do loads of marketing, I could do 100 AMAs a month, but if the market's dead on its arse, then there's not much we can do to sort of force people to take it up. But we're here for the long term, and we're willing to work and do what we can. And we're very transparent and honest with our community. I do an AMA almost every fortnight, pretty much every fortnight. Pretty much everything that's happened, we put announcements in a Telegram group almost daily. So we're quite open and sort of honest around it, which is why a lot of our holders from day one in February, or our first pre-sale, have stuck with us all the way through now, because of that. So we want to reward them. One other thing I didn't mention that we've got and have is we've got a great community mod who's also a bit of a developer. Well, I say a bit of it, that's doing an injustice. He is a developer. And he's created us a shilling tool. So basically every day he loads up, he basically pulls back tweets around crypto or things where people say shill me and stuff like that, pulls it into a big list. We then click into the app and it gives us the list of all the tweets. We can then create a big set of draft tweets, or we can just select our last one, and you literally just click on each tweet, and it'll just send a tweet to, or reply to that, or comment on it. So that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's absolute kill. It's awesome. So we do anything between 500 to 1,000 tweets a day.
Wow.
Oh no, more than that. Hold on, that's doing us injustice. So I think we've got 50 people in our Shield group, and we do about 100 tweets a day each in there.
Wow.
So yeah, and that's we do that daily. Some days it's a little bit more, some days it's less. But that's a long-term thing, because the more people see our name, see our images, keep seeing it, eventually they're just going to be like, what is this bloody LandLord thing I keep seeing every 5 minutes? And then once they have a look, they're more likely to then buy in, or at least come in and ask us questions in the Telegram group, which we're more than happy with. So it's one of those things, you don't get instant results with it, but over a period of time, if we carry it on, and the more, what we've started to find now is every time we get new holders, we're getting more people in our shilling group, which means we're then getting more tweets out. So eventually we're just going to absolutely own the Twitter sphere.
Move over, Elon. Twitter now belongs to the LandLord.
Yeah, that's the plan.
I like it. I feel like you and I might need to be having a conversation after this, because I've just taken over our Twitter stuff.
We've already had a few other projects already inquire about trying to acquire it from us, but we're not interested at the minute. But it's Frank's baby, so it's all down to him. I'm
not your average Degen, but anyway, I digress. But that sounds really, really cool, Paolo. I'm well into excited. That's innovative, and it's really, really cool. So one question that I've had popping around in my mind is, you've got a fair sized team, and you've got all your liquidity locked. So how are you guys paying yourselves?
We're not. So if you look at our list of holders, I think our second biggest holder next to the LP is actually the owner wallet, but we've locked the majority of those tokens in a pink lock, and we lock it for a month. Well, initially we've done it a month at a time, but going forward it'll be 2 months at a time. So that just shows sort of us being honest that we've got a lot of tokens here that aren't in liquidity or aren't in exchange. We don't want them sat in our wallet because it looks dodgy. And it doesn't give you much trust. So if we just we lock them regularly, we share the lock and the date that it's going to unlock, and basically we only have it unlocking every now and again in case we start when we start getting more exchange listings. So we've got enough tokens to actually send them. And if we lock them for too long, then something might happen and we can't get them to put on the exchange or boost the liquidity or something like that.
Exactly. Or Pancake Swap version 3 comes out and then... So that's what we're doing with that. Us getting paid, so we have a merchandise store on our website. So at the minute, the funds from that don't get moved back into the token. Not that there's loads coming in from that. We have some merch in 4 continents though, which is pretty cool. But once the craft beers come out as well, initially we'll probably take a bit of the money from that when they start selling. And when we get the pubs open, we'll start taking money from that. Other than that, we haven't transferred ourselves tokens. You can check the deployer wallet and stuff. We've not set aside a percentage of tokens for the team or anything like that. Some of the team, I think, have bought in tokens with their own funds, but I don't see a problem with that because that's generating sales and buys in the same way as anyone else would. In my mind, that's really good if the team of the project feels confident enough to buy into it themselves, and that's. I mean, I'm all for it. That's a good sign.
At the end of the day, we're all adults and earn pretty good money anyway. And and there's no point us taking a bit of money here and there out of the project, where actually the funds are better left in there for long term. To be honest, we can worry about earning money out of it later on. Until we get to further down the line, we don't.
So you really are looking at literally just bootstrapping right now. So
if you look, if you start and run any business, you don't really look to make profit until the end of the first year, possibly 18 months in anyway. So we're not, from our point of view, we're not looking to take any money out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that all sounds really, really cool. I'm just trying to think if I've got any other questions. Yeah, I've just been having a little scan around on your website. It looks pretty cool. I see things are priced in English sterling.
On the store, yeah.
Have you thought about making it payable in crypto?
Yeah, we have looked at it in a minute. I've actually, when did I do it? We have got it set up. We just haven't turned it on yet. Mainly because I'm trying.
Even better still, make it payable in your native token.
Yeah, so that is something we're looking at. I think it's on the roadmap as well. So once we've got our point of sale system, off the back of that, we'll be able to hook up the store and the website as well. Hold on, my dog's trying to come in. So yeah, that's where we want to go. The store you can pay in whatever currency you want on the store at the minute. It just shows it in pounds, but you can pay in dollars. We accept PayPal, Apple Pay, and just like card payments as well.
Yeah, it looks like you've got some quite cool merch in there as well. How's it going with that? How's the business?
Yeah, we've done all right. I think I think what we've done. I think we've done about 400-500 quid in merch. We've sold it in four continents, which has been quite cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we are constantly adding more merch on the store. So I think one we added this last week was the bear market one. When people kept saying about the bear markets, we were like, let's have a little play on that. So
yeah, right. I saw that. I like that. I saw you stick it in the chat earlier as well. I picked them up. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So, what was it? The main one. What's your play on that? Quite funny.
Oh, I can't remember. It was Adrian does all the graphics and the t-shirts and stuff. So
I saw it earlier. I'm not.
Yeah, we've got a few more of our sort of first collection of NFTs that we might stick on shirts because some of them were quite cool.
To the pub.
Yeah, to the pub. Yeah, all our we've got them on our sticker things as well.
Yeah,
we've got some sort of unique marketing stuff coming out as well soon. I'm just getting another quote back, but we're getting beer mats or beer coasters. Like you get in the pubs that have all for the drinks. We've made some of those. We're going to distribute them out to people. So any of our holders want them, they can have them. So when they go down to a pub and stuff, they can just throw them in pubs and leave them on tables in pubs. So people will see them. If any of our team are listening, there's a few. Could someone drop some of the beer coaster pictures in the group here, just so they can have a look? They're pretty cool, and on the back of them, it's got our QR code that takes you to the website. And same with all our merch, all our t-shirts and hoodies. I've got our QR code on the sleeve. So if someone's out wearing one of our t-shirts or hoodies, and you're in the pub or out somewhere, and they go, "What's that LandLord thing?" They can just scan the QR code on the sleeve, and straight away they're on the website.
Amazing. That does sound really cool. And like I said, the reason that I'm so excited about this is because I get it. I see what you're doing. You're giving legitimacy to crypto rather than it just being that funny internet money.
Yeah.
Like get rich quick off or get wrecked quick off.
Yeah.
Either all is distinct possibility.
But, and all the craft beers we're going to bring out are going to have crypto themed names as well. So we're going to have like Hoddle and Wrecked, cool. And I can't remember what some of the other ones are. Yeah.
That sounds good. I would have definitely been a Wrecked girl back in the day. So, I mean, I don't know anything about the alcohol, the pub industry at all, but I imagine it must be quite an expensive process to be able to set up your own craft beers and also your own pubs.
So the craft beer side of things, so what we've actually been doing and planning for quite a while, so we've been doing a lot in the background on that, is there's no point trying to reinvent the wheel. So what we're planning to do with the craft beers and what we've been planning and going and speaking to people about is we're finding some microbreweries or small breweries and partnering up with them. So basically we've gone and tried a load of beers that some of them make, and we will take a set amount order off them. They will do all the packaging, making the beer, boxing up, all the delivery side of it as well. And we basically just take a small cut. So say if we're selling, I don't know, if it's £4 a can or something like that off the top of my head, we'd probably be only getting like £1 off it or £1.50 off it. But it takes away that massive outlay on all the organisation side of it.
So you're not actually having to outlay any cash for it because you're selling their product for them.
Yeah, basically we're selling their product with our label on, basically. So for them, they're getting regular new source of trade. For us, we're getting something that's tried and tested, and we know we've got partners that know the business inside out, who will handle the logistics side of it for us. Which just seems a logical way to go. It's, with our online store, with all the clothing stuff, everyone's using drop stores now because you might not make as much of it, but it takes all the hassle and stress away from you.
Sure.
So that's the route we go with the craft beers. Depending how things develop, we might go down a different route of actually opening a brewery and making our own. But at the minute, we don't really see the need to do that if we can be successful with partnering up with it could be one brewery, it could be several. One sort of example we were looking at was the what's the one that everyone buys now, the stupid craft beers.
I have no clue because I live in Spain. I haven't drank for 16 years.
But there's one now, I can't remember what they're called, but they partner up with celebrities and all sorts and just bring out ranges with all different sort of stuff. So that's sort of where we'd rather go, just because we're not experts of all of that part of the process. So why sort of take it on ourselves and have to outlay all the funds and money to do that when we can just partner with other people and leave that stress away from us?
For sure.
On the pub side of things, opening the pubs, so we've got sort of 4 different tiers of a type of pub we could open, which would depend on how much volume and funds we've generated and raised. So we could go down the sort of the micro pub route to begin with as the first pub, depending how we're doing and how it's going, which would work pretty well in sort of central London or Manchester or Liverpool or somewhere like that, before looking further looking abroad.
Micro pub, just for people that maybe don't know what that concept is. It's like literally just like somebody's front room, right?
Yeah, so we've got one of my local pubs is a micro pub, and it used to be a laundrette, and I think it seats 25 people in there. But it's brilliant. It's like a real sort of community, small little place, and you can sit outside and stuff. So that's one option. And then we've got sort of the different tiers or levels or size of pubs, moving all the way up to sort of a big sort of 200, 300 seater sort of place. It all at the minute we've got to be sort of flexible because the economy's up and down. the crypto market's quite volatile. So there's no point us saying, yep, we're going to spend 900 grand opening a pub, where actually it might be more beneficial to open a smaller one initially, and sort of hone what we do and then move on to a larger one or multiple micro ones. So we're quite flexible in how we do that. We've got sort of the crypto project sort of plan, and then we've got sort of like the pub business plan, and same with the drinks. So it's sort of almost three separate entities that all feed into each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, yeah. And I take it you've got other funds there waiting to be able to do this third part, if you like, of your business plan. Yeah. So we've got some funds available for that, but we've also, we're hoping that the project itself generates some of those funds as well. We are getting the 3% tax, the marketing tax, which will eventually, at the minute, is being solely spent on marketing, but the actual opening a pub, as well as being a fund generator for the project, is actually a marketing tool in itself, because you've got somewhere physical that represents the pub, represents the token and the whole project, where we can do like streamed events and giveaways, and it's a physical thing that we can also use for marketing. Yeah, it sounds good. And I'm just looking at BSC scan, and I can see you've got 15% locked in ping. That's your liquidity, right?
Yeah, we've got some more liquidity to add as well in June. So, long story, when we migrated from version 1 to 2, we didn't have enough tokens left to drain the liquidity pool to move it over to version 2, because the liquidity was locked. And we didn't have enough tokens left because we'd locked them all in pink lock until the 1st of June. So the 1st of June, we've got a bit more, we've got some more funds to add into it as well.
Okay.
Tokens. So the LP will grow.
Is it a significant chunk?
What is it? I think it's around 6-7 grand. So whatever that is in B&B. So a bit more.
It's a few beans, isn't it?
Yeah.
20 beans or something off the top of my
head. Something like that.
Degen maths right there. Probably works in my favour, whatever it is, it usually does. And then you've got 15% in Pancake Swap. Is that your team tokens that you were telling me about?
I
can see two contracts holding tokens. So there's
so one. You've got the pink sour lock, which is the 15% 0.6, and then you've got the pancake one, which is 15.4%, which is the liquidity pool. So the tokens in liquidity.
I see. I'm with you. Yeah. So of course that makes sense. Pancake swap's liquidity. Pink sales just your team tokens that you're locking on. Rolling monthly basis until
so we'll probably go to 2 months after this one. We wanted to do a month just after launch, just so we were a bit careful if we needed them. But
of course. And I think this is probably going to be last question for me. So
cool.
I really like to hear about projects that are community led, and it sounds like you're heading towards a DAO kind of system. Would that be right to assume, or is it a bit looser than that?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? It broke up. The mic broke up a bit.
Okay, so it sounds like you're involving your community a lot in your decision making process. So firstly, how do you let your community vote on what they want to do proportionally to?
So far, what we've normally done is, if we've got sort of something we're going to ask the community about, we normally would have an AMA first and discuss it on the AMA, put forward what idea or our preference would be, and then we put a poll up in the Telegram community, and we'd also tweet out directing people to the Telegram poll. Going forward, we had looked at in the long term, staking for introducing the governance token, and introducing staking for a governance token, and that would be a bit later down the line, because we'd also include sort of voting rights on things that might happen in the pubs.
Mm-hmm.
So things like what country should we open the next pub in, or should we now start to include this or that, or things like that. With staking, I am not a big fan of staking in general, personally.
No, I'm not either.
I find it a bit nervy, because I don't like putting my token somewhere I can't touch, and especially if it's locked for a set period of time. We've got quite a lot of holders that were holders of another project, which brought out staking, and it broke their staking, so no one could withdraw them. And midway through that, the team gave up on the project, and there was all these tokens that people had locked. It was generally their whales as well that had them locked, and none of them could dump or sell. So it's just awful. So one of the things that we're looking at, actually, I've got a friend who's a developer who's trying to do a sort of a prototype for it for me. At the minute, is I'm a big fan. I don't know if I've seen a couple other projects do it, of depositless staking, which basically just takes the view out on your wallet and checks, have they got this many tokens or more. If they have, we pay the reward out, and if they haven't, then you don't. Which basically doesn't involve you depositing or anything. It all sits in your wallet, and they just sort of intimately poll your wallet and just check you've still got the same amount of tokens.
Of course, you've got the rewards there in the reflections, which reward people for holding tokens whilst they're trading.
Yeah. So that would be my preference on staking. If I was thinking with my investor hat on, if I was an investor, I'd be much more comfortable staking, doing in that way, than I would locking my tokens up somewhere I can't touch them for. So that's where we'd sort of look with that. So we sort of, staking wise, we looked at sort of two possibilities with staking. We had an idea for a governance token. I also like the idea of being able to stake for pints. So we'd have another token which would be a pint token, which would be basically pegged to how much a pint costs in the pub. So you'd be able to stake your tokens and earn however many pints a month of it, which you then could just then exchange in the pub for a drink.
Amazing.
So that's sort of another idea we had around staking, because we haven't got the biggest supply. I think we've already got 100 billion, which isn't massive. It's quite a nice amount. So doing staking for sort of our own token isn't really worthwhile, I don't feel.
I don't know, 100 billion sounds like a lot to me. That's a lot.
Once we start getting through the burn parties and stuff, it will soon drop.
Yeah. So coming back to the DAO sort of thing, the DAO model that you're moving towards. I mean, it's not that difficult to create. I'm not a developer and don't do code or anything like that, but I know that it's not that difficult to create a D app that can connect to web.
Yeah.
Check people's tokens in their wallets, make sure that they've been there for a qualifying amount of time, so they can manipulate votes and things like that, and then they can just vote on things proportionally to the tokens that they've got in their wallet. Is that the kind of thing that you're? Yeah,
that's sort of where we were going. We'd want to be a little bit careful in that, because we've got a few whales. That we wouldn't basically completely hand over decisions to our whales for everything. Yeah. So it's got to be sort of managed in a specific way. And at the minute, because we're fairly young, and we've only got 255 holders, I'd be a little bit nervous doing it yet, until we've grown a bit more. But it's definitely.
The way to manage that is to not give the community the rights to create to create their own proposals.
Yeah,
so proposals come from you, and they get the final say on yay or nay kind of thing.
Yeah. But I think at the minute we've got quite a good relationship with the community. We speak to them a lot. We give them a lot of input. So I think it's working the way it is at the minute. But I think once in the minute we know most of our holders. We've spoken to a good chunk of them. So while we're still at that point, there's no real need or desire to push that far yet. But once we start growing and we lose that sort of direct access to as many people, then that's 100%. That would be the route we go.
For sure. Okay, I think we're coming up to about the hour mark. I like to keep my AMAs to about an hour.
No worries.
I have ADHD myself, and I struggle to focus more than an hour. And a lot of DGens are similar.
Yeah.
And it'd be great. And I can chat all night, but I think there gets to be a point where it's like, well, how useful is this now?
I totally appreciate that.
We'll keep it short and sweet. But is there anything that you would like to tell us that you haven't had the opportunity to tell us about yet?
I don't think so. I'm just looking. I've got a little Word document with a list of things to mention. So one thing we did actually brought up by the community actually that we've had an initial vote on, and we'll probably have another one a bit later down the line. We have discussed locking a percentage of tokens, and what we plan to do with that is leave the rewards turned on for them. So it'd be like 2% of tokens. We'd leave the rewards on, and then we'd look to donate those rewards to charities linked to alcohol abuse or alcohol related things.
Oh wow, amazing.
Because as much as the project is around pubs and alcohol and drinking, we sort of feel it's our responsible as well to look at the other side of what happens, and sort of I think the community sort of agree with that. It's been suggested by a few people, so I think we will vote on sort of the amount and the frequency we donate that. But that is something else that we want to do to give back as well.
That's really responsible. That makes me like you even more, actually, especially being in recovery.
Yeah.
Being an alcoholic.
Well, there's everyone. A good chunk of people have had experience or involvement or know someone it's been affected. So I think it's only reasonable to do that.
Wow, I love you. No, it's absolutely amazing. And on that, I think what we'll do now is we'll open up to the community. So
awesome.
We've got 15 people in the chat. So I tell you what, if you want to just write your questions in the chat, and then Fowler can answer them one by one, and then we'll work out which are the best questions and which ones are deserving of the nice little shiny prizes that Fowler's brought along with him tonight. If you guys want to write your questions down, and then Fowler can start answering them. Go. Okay, so we've got DeFi Lo-Fi straight in. He says, okay, so questions. I don't know, it might be a bit long-winded, but here goes. Oh, right. It sounds scary. Okay, question with a warning that it's going to be long. Come on, guys, get your questions in. Dan, bless you. We know.
I've spent Dan before.
Not. we were at with my project. I'm currently part of the team. We were on an AMA the other night. 4 hours.
Wow.
I watched that Dan's glasses are like fucking swimming pools.
Was he on the JD again?
Yeah. not to mention the pussy. Got a bit of a taste for the old valleys, haven't you, Dan?
I might have a bit of a problem.
We know.
Oh, so we've got one question.
When would the pubs be bought?
So it's sort of a difficult question at the minute. Realistically, I reckon we need to be hitting volume of probably around 100 grand, 150 grand a day ish, maybe a bit less, realistically, for a period of time, not for like months on end. But it's a difficult one to sort of predict, really. At the minute, it's in the plans. We've got as soon as we can get a bit of volume and some more funds in to sort of add to what we'd put in ourselves. It's sort of hard to say, really. I don't really want to put a finger in the air and sort of say 6 months' time, a year's time, 2 months' time. It all depends on the market. And no, sadly not. Sadly not.
So
otherwise, I would have shorted Luna last week.
Wouldn't we all? We'd have seen that one coming. Fuck's sake! I know some people who did, and like they went bang. But I know other people that totally wrecked. But like whatever. I had a question. So about volume. So how much is your average daily volume right now?
At the minute, pretty low. We've had the last couple of days been talking hundreds, not thousands. We do market make, so we are listed on Top Pie Exchange, and we have got a market maker on there. So we're generating 15, 16 grand a day volume on that, just because we've got a market maker generating that. But that's mainly for CMC purposes to assist with getting listed on that, really. So I don't tend to even include or look at that, really.
No, because it's not real money, is it?
No, it's just playing the game, sadly. But
they're amazing for getting on CMC and Gecko, because they are the mafia in DeFi. Let's have it right. Okay, so DeFi Lo-Fi has got one. It says, I guess I want to know what you guys have already achieved in your roadmap exactly.
So on our website, we've actually got the roadmap listed. Oh no, and all the stuff we've done has actually been ticked off on it. So obviously we've had a few different white papers. We got listed on our first exchange. We launched our online store with merch. Second white paper, we've been listed on CoinGecko and Nomics. We've got our market making down. We've migrated from our version 1 contract to version 2, which basically I sort of highlighted earlier. We went from a 6% tax with 3% marketing, 2% liquidity, and 1% native token reflections. On our version 2 contract, which we're on now, it's 8% tax with 3% marketing, 3% liquidity, and 2% BUSD rewards instead. So you'll be getting rewarded in a more stable coin. We've had our contract audited. We successfully migrated all our version 1 holders as well. And we relaunched. Our app is actually in beta at the minute. So hopefully we get some more videos and screenshots out of that. We haven't had much time to do much on it this week because I was poorly for a few days and work commitments were a bit mental. But that's all of the main things we've achieved so far. And the shilling app that I mentioned earlier, we need to get a demo video, put that together so we can show people, because it's awesome. Basically, with the shilling app, you can generate some sort of draft tweets, and then you can. What the tool does is it every day we get a list of tweets put into it, so it could be 70 to 100. It generates you a list, and then within the app you can either set to create the tweets from your drafts, so it'll alternate it. So if you've got 4 drafts, it'll do a different one for each message, so you're not just sending the same thing. And then you just click into each tweet in the list, and then send your tweet, and and you just work through the list. And it's the other thing we did, because we're all a bit competitive, it times you how long it takes you to do the list. So everyone, and then once you've finished, it posts how many tweets you've done and the time it took you into the shilling group. Frank's actually working on version 2 of it, that's going to have a leaderboard, so we can then start doing things like rewards to the shilling team, because I say shilling team, it's all holders that are helping shill their own bags, basically. But we want to start rewarding people for that, so we can keep a league table, and we can do we can start giving out some extra tokens or BUSD or BNB to people for doing that. But it's awesome, the shilling app.
I know, I want to. Enough for it. I just heard you say you got version 2, which means that version 1's going to be like not anymore. So give that to me. Right, okay. Come on, guys. More questions, please.
One more.
1, 2, 5, one more. And everybody else, I see Lucas typing as well. Come on, get your question. Like, Degens are so unprepared. They've had since Wednesday. Literally put all your links up and said, look, shiny prizes. Go and do some research and start thinking up your questions.
So, to answer that last question, the pub's not open yet. We have got a member of the team, Harry, who already owns a pub. So when we get to the point of having the point of sale system finished, we'll be able to trial it in his pub and flesh it out before we actually go in it near any other pubs. And before we use it in our own. So we've sort of got that to sort of bed it in before we go sort of out to the main public for it. But yeah, we haven't got our own pub open yet. But yeah, that's sort of the key sort of target and utility that we want to bring. But the next thing really will be the app, and the craft beers will be the next things. Possibly some NFT collection as well, which we've got in the roadmap, so that'll be another thing we're looking at. We've actually been doing a poll in the community this week, actually, on the NFTs to see what chain people want them on.
Mm-hmm. I just seen Frank, who I presume is a member of your team, trying to post a bot with links. Our Rose doesn't like that.
Oh, okay.
DM it to me, and I'll put it up for you.
Oh yeah, I think he was just trying to send the roadmap. We've got like
I just saw it pop up, and then Rose quickly deleted it because.
Okay.
It's quite good because it saves us getting.
Oh yeah, we've got that. Ours bans any. Gives a warning if they put a contract address in and stuff like that in our group.
Yeah, we have some specifically for marketers. And
yes, I learned that was probably. I learned very quickly when we got into doing all this how many bullshitting marketing people there are.
If anybody DMs you, like, just don't.
Yeah, so we have a separate Telegram user for our marketing, so it doesn't go to our personal, our day-to-day one. It goes to a separate one, so we can dip in and out of it and check it.
So it would be forever in Telegram.
Hey, Fowler.
Hello.
I tell you what I saw recently. Sorry, I just want to jump in. What I saw recently, which was really interesting, is when you've got a portal to enter your group.
Yeah.
You can actually, on some of them, drop a link there and say, "Hey, if you're a marketer or a shiller, just join this group." And I looked in it, and it was just full of just nonsense, but really pretty cool idea, I thought.
Yeah, I like that. We might have to look at that.
That's the equivalent of like, I'll file it over here in the bin.
Well, we are quite strict. We have an automated message in our group that if you to like who to contact for marketing, if you ask again, you just get banned from the group. So if someone comes in and says, "What's the deal for marketing?" they're allowed to. If they ask again, they get instantly banned because there's no need to chase. If you're really good at marketing, you don't need to join groups randomly and ask. People come to you, is my opinion.
Okay, we've got Lucas has asked a question. He says, have you any other plans to reach new investors besides AMAs? Yeah, so
AMAs have generally been the best route of getting people so far because if they're decent groups, so sort of the smaller under 600 people groups I tend to find a better because as soon as you start seeing groups that are 20, 10, 20,000, 30,000, they're all bots. Or they're people that are from poorer countries that are just in there to get $1 for asking a question, which we've seen in some groups. So trying to find communities like this to do AMAs in, or we've got a few YouTubers we're speaking to at the minute that are not marketing ones that we're asking to do actual project reviews on and do honest review of it, as opposed to the people who literally just talk through your website, which we had a few of at the beginning. We're working with we're speaking with a few other marketing people that aren't your bog standard join groups, ones that aren't in groups. So we've spoken to people like the Marketing Idol and a few other sort of more.
Marketing Idol is really bad.
Really bad. Okay, we haven't agreed anything with him. He was giving us all this spiel and stuff.
No, but he's a scammer. I know. Okay. Take it from me first time.
Okay.
I was working in last year. We tried him. He took like 10K's worth of our $10K worth of our tokens right at the beginning, and then ghosted us. And it took about 3 months. I did get the tokens back, but of course,
we're quite. We're very much. Fabio is one of our team members. He's quite good at handling all these things. We're our main rule with anything is we won't, marketing wise, we don't really pay until they've done it. We never pay full amount in advance. We'd only ever pay a small amount, and then the rest on completion if it's any good. Because half the time, if they actually are any good, they don't have a problem with doing that.
Yeah, but no, the Marketing Idol, and it's not just me. I know other people that have had similar experiences in Marketing Idol, and much worse actually. I mean, the only reason that I managed to get the tokens back was because after they ghosted us, somebody popped up in my DMs from the Marketing Idol. Oh, really? Yeah, okay. Sign me up to a
okay.
And then
we'll definitely stay away from them.
You've got our tokens, you fucker. Give them back.
Yeah. We've got some.
Go on.
We've got some other things planned as well. So we're looking at obviously the beer taster stuff in pubs where we just sort of do that. We're looking to do. We're trying to organise and plan it. We're just trying to get a few more holders and sort of family and friends involved. We want to do a few sort of flash mob things at like train stations or key landmarks and stuff.
Flash mob.
Yeah. Well, things like that work, and there's always the chance you might get some coverage. I've got a friend who actually works for the Daily Star, who I'm working with at the minute. He's just trying to find the right time to sneak something in the paper for us. But if we can do that, we can get that would be pretty beneficial. But yeah, like we've said in the group loads of times, if anyone's got any other groups or other ideas of marketing stuff, paid tweets aren't great because half the time, again, it's botted. You can check them. So we do use a few different tools to check people out on Twitter to find out how many legitimate followers they've got, how many actually interact with it. But yeah, we're looking at all different things. I want to get in a few sort of. So we've looked about festivals and beer festivals and things like that. So we've been speaking to a few sort of beer festivals. I want to try and get, like the beer boxes that people get now, the subscription things. A lot of them come with magazines, so we're trying to get in a few of those. So I've actually had some discussions with them. But again, a lot of this stuff is linked to volume. So we can't spend 20, 30, 40, 50,000 pounds on stuff if we're not bringing any money in. No. We have put quite a bit of our own money in so far. I think we've probably spent about 20 grand of our own money on marketing so far, plus what we've brought in the taxes. So we're looking at lots of different things. We've looked at adverts in toilets in pubs and things like that. People stand, look at them with their phone quite often. Men definitely stand at the urinal holding their phone.
Yeah, willies out,
So, but at the minute, we're still quite flexible and we're willing to try different things. But at the minute, AMAs seem to be the best voice and audio AMAs. I'm not doing any more text ones. I think they're pointless. But yeah, so there's many sort of voice and chat audio AMAs that we can do. We're trying on Sunday our first sort of Twitter space. So we give that a go and see what happens. But we've not tried one of them before.
Make sure you drop a link in the chat for that when you're doing it.
Okay, we'll do. Yeah.
Come and have a little hangout with you.
Yeah,
well,
cool.
I might not because I'm out raving at the weekend, but I might do. From the rave. You might
it's just something to try.
Crazy lady, fucking lighting strobe lights. All right, cool. All right, guys, I'm just looking at your chart. Actually, that's quite a sexy looking chart.
Yeah, it's doing all right. We just need a bit more volume, but it won't take much to go parabolic, really. With our liquidity and supply, it wouldn't take much to get some decent gains. So yeah, definitely check us out. And
I mean, you're right. I can see you launched and then you had you got cheated on quite badly, but it's
so before we relaunched, we had a very small pre-sale on Pink Sale just to see if we could attract some more investors just by that. And I think
they fucking cheated.
Yeah, I think the two that bought the max buy-in, which was only through B&B, both dumped like seconds after. Which, hey, that's what happens in pre-sales. You always get people that will take that 4% or whatever it is in difference we did between the pre-sale price and the launch price, which, that's what always happens, especially at the time when B&B was sort of crashing a bit.
Yeah, it's just the market, isn't it? Like I always say, best plans in the world, but you can't do anything about the market. And
and
what they do.
Sort of the other thing around the marketing stuff as well. That's why we're doing AMAs, really, because a lot of the other marketing stuff, when the market's like this, if you're throwing good money after bad on marketing, you're just sort of burning through it, where people are not going to throw money around as easily as they would before.
I know I've seen projects burn obscene amounts of money on PooCoin banner ads and all sorts of stuff like that. And
so we looked at PooCoin, but then we were talking about because we looked at PooCoin, and I've done through all the process so we can do it whenever we want. But we were all talking about it, and I don't know. I've never bought anything that I've seen an advert on PooCoin for. And I don't think I know anyone that's bought anything that they've seen a flash advert up on PooCoin for. Really?
No. Sometimes I get bored and I see some shiny and I click on it just to have a look. And,
yeah.
But I've never actually bought anything.
No, I don't think... I definitely haven't.
And it's not very often that happens. Usually I'm just going to see which way the chart's going and how much liquidity's locked in the contract.
So actually, one last thing on the marketing thing. One of the things that we sort of communicated with the community that we were looking to do actually was we wanted to try and combine with growing our holders for CMC. So to try and speed up the listing for that. But also, as a way of marketing and working on our shilling, is quite regularly we're going to try and pick another token community. So this week we've been going after Luna holders, and we will basically, if they can, any people that are holding that particular token, if they follow our tweet and reply and stuff, we'll airdrop them a small amount. So not enough to earn rewards, and we'll point out how much they need to buy to get rewards. But that will grow some wallets, but also we can then shill that community. So we've been doing it with Luna this week, and we've been giving out. We did if you look on our Twitter, we did like a Cronenberg style advert, and we've been airdropping people 1664 tokens to go with the beer name.
That, yeah, nice touch.
Yeah, so that's the sort of thing we're going to try with a few different communities to try and sort of grow our holders a bit, but also go after other communities and try and get some of their holders as well. So it's sort of a two-pronged thing that we're doing. It's sort of a bit of a marketing thing and shilling, but also sort of growing our holders a bit. So we'll get close to some of that magic amount that CMC want. If we're not, because we're not going to do fast tracking and bribing people at CMC to list us.
It's about 12k at the moment.
Yeah, I just don't agree with it either.
No, I don't either. They're like the fucking mafia. I mean, this is DeFi, right? It's decentralized finance. Yeah. Why do we have these two pretty massive centralized organisations that are dictating to the whole of the cryptosphere what can and can't? I mean, like, it's just hideous. I wish we would see some more competition to them, and they could get. I think it'll happen. It'll happen eventually, sooner or later.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Everybody. I mean, it's new people, really, because I mean, I never go to CMC or Gecko anymore. No, I certainly did when I was new because I didn't know any better. But now,
well, I think as well, it also depends on what the market's like. When things were pumping, like I remember during the SafeMoon thing, because like everyone was just going, just looking at the just launched thing on CMC and going, all right, that one's literally just been done in the last 10 minutes. Let's buy that. It's got to go up, and people were just doing stuff and that's where you get that initial pump from CMC.
30 minutes later, it's like done.
That's why that when you get to the point and you're about to launch on CMC, it's good to have a chunk of money ready to do buybacks, so you can erase that dump straight away.
Well, it became a real meme last year. I remember being in so many projects, and it was just like, oh yeah, we're about to tonight we're about to go live on CMC and Gecko, and everybody's just sat there like waiting for the minute so they can fucking dump, and then that's the end of the project, isn't it?
Well, it would be nice if CoinGecko actually just communicated and told you anything. So we had quite a bit of a running joke with CoinGecko in that.
Good luck with that.
Well, when we were on version 1. One of the key, so we were on version 1. We'd applied for CoinGecko because we were like volume and stuff was doing alright at the time, and we got an email back from them saying on the Monday saying at the current moment we won't be listing you. Please refer to our listing process to find out why. So I harassed them basically non-stop until I could try and get out of them why they wouldn't list us, and I just got some really shitty email with no information. But eventually managed to hammer out of one of them.
The same thing last year.
And then eventually I got out of one of them. They didn't like the amount of burn. The amount of burn we had was a red warning for them. So we were like, okay, fair enough. We will start the process of migrating and doing it. So I started planning all the migration to a new contract. Told all the community why we were doing it. Did AMAs and explained it all. And then, so this was on the Monday, and then I think it was like on the Saturday morning, they listed us without telling us. I just woke up in the morning and like our chart went a bit mad. I was like, oh right, what's happened here? Then I saw on Twitter that they listed us. I was like, but you told us on Monday that you weren't going to do it.
I know, it makes sense.
And I've gone through all this plan of writing the new contract and getting all the stuff ready for migration. They're like, oh yeah, we're listening. But we went ahead with it anyway because it was the best thing to do long term.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I had something. My distraction is next level. Okay, so I take it you guys are all finished with your questions. Let me see. Nikki says you have a strong team on Twitter. That's thanks to your shilling bot and your strategies there, isn't it? Which I want some of that. At the moment, I'm doing it manually. I'm like going through the stream, going, "Oh, they want to know." I'm going copy pasta into that one, and then it's like, but it's laborious, isn't it? I'd love a bot to do it. LandLord round 2 in 20 minutes. All right, Lucas. Frank sent me a DM. Let me get that. I will get that. Let me forward your links to our chat. And I think if you're happy, is there anything else that you want to tell the community? The other thing I'd say is, we're always more than happy to answer questions, whether it's myself or another core team member or any of our mods. So yeah, feel free to jump in our Telegram group and ask questions. And we're not one of these people that get really annoyed if people start asking us questions. Like, I want people to do their own research. I feel much more comfortable. I might turn up in a bit, and you might you might change your mind.
Well, generally, if you can try, not ask questions after 11 o'clock at night on a weekday because I'll be in bed. But someone just repeatedly spamming the group, it's like, why am I not getting a reply? I was like, it's 2 a.m, man. But yeah, no, you can, we're happy to answer questions. That's why we do so many AMAs and stuff, because to get information that we don't want to be these distant people that are in the internet that no one knows about or understands. I'm more than happy to jump on the VC in our group anytime and answer.
Telegram groups and Discord groups, not mentioning any names, but
and there's times when we're not about, and I quite often will just put in the group, I'm off the grid for a few hours, or I've got something on this weekend, so I'm not around. Like, at the end of the day, we've all got our own lives as well, but
I usually literally tell them, right, I'm going to sleep now.
Yeah.
And then they'll know when I'm awake again, because then they're like, hi! Well, it's the weekend, and you just get pictures of me at the rave and strobe lights. All right. Okay, so let's wrap it up here then. So we got. I mean, literally, you guys have been rubbish tonight with your questions. Like, seriously.
It's a Friday night, isn't it? I suppose.
I guess so, and everybody's at the pub, ironically.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got DeFi's asked a couple of questions, and I think it was Lucas asked a couple of questions. So, I mean, send me your wallets. I think it's fair that those guys...
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Because they bothered to think about it and ask some questions.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you so much for being such a great guest tonight, Fowler. It's been...
No, anytime.
And finding out about your project and you're welcome back here anytime you've got some stuff going on and
definitely
when you get your beers out there and
definitely we'll be letting you know about that
when you get to the point of actually having a micro pub and having the payment system set up. I want to get you back in here so we can
definitely
live from the pub with you getting pissed and buying your beer.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's been great fun.
It has been a lot of fun, and I'm in your chat now, so I'll probably pop in there and say hi from time to time when I
Cool.
remember. But please come here and
we definitely we're in a few different like communities now. And we don't tend to just jump in, do an AMA, and then never speak to anyone ever again. I'll be lurking in your group for longevity now.
we like lurkers.
Because we're not just I'm very much aware that our investors and myself we don't just hold our token. Like I'm out there looking to other stuff to buy as well, as much as anyone. So
yeah.
So
Degens together.
yeah.
Wag me and all that, yeah? We're going to fucking make it! Maybe. if we don't get too rubbed and wrecked in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. It's been really good to have you here. I'm going to switch my camera off now.
I'll jump off now, bro.
I'm gonna stop recording now, so all the Degens can chat shit. Thank you, Fowler, for being.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes,
it's been good fun.
A lot of fun talking to you tonight. Thank you.
Cool.
Right,
cheers,
press the end button now on the recording.